This is a video for how to design and model the Snail Cam for our Automata Box project. First of all, I have gone ahead and created a new part studio. I'm going to rename it Snail Cam. I've loaded the picture from our Google Doc here in Google Classroom. And I went ahead and added in our configurations, just like we did the last few times, where I have D being my diameter for one hole. I set it for 3/16 of an inch. And then T for thickness, that would be my extrusion depth. So we've done these a few times. If you don't remember how to do this part, I would hop on to another video, watch how I set up the parameters, and then hop back on over here. Okay, so now that we are on sketch one, which is on our front plane, we need to think about how we're going to create this one. It's kind of a little tricky, and honestly, there's not really enough information. We'll be okay, it'll be fine, but we're gonna go ahead and make this work. So what we have here is we have a snail cam. The snail cam will produce kind of a smooth motion until your follower gets to this drop, and it'll be a sharp drop. So it'll be kind of an increase, 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 boom, down. Again, we have a thickness of 3/16 inch, and we're modeling using parameters with a variable for our diameter. We have a 3/16 inch hole that we will use. So we're going to start by modeling that hole. So I'm C for circle, bring that hole out, D for diameter, click that circle, hashtag hole, and automatically it programmed into what my configuration is set up over here. If I wanted to change this to a 1/4 inch dowel rod, I can do that really quickly, but I'm going to keep that as my 3/16. There we go. All right, so 3/16. And now what we need to figure out is we are going to add a series of arcs. And if you look closely enough at this image here, this half here, so there's a straight line that's dimensioned away from the center. There is half of a circle. It looks pretty close. And then there's this other portion. And it looks like it would be half of a circle, but it's really not. However, for the portion of this video, we're going to go ahead and treat it like it's another half circle. So we're going to start by drawing this line segment and then dimensioning it exactly as it looks over here on this picture. So I'm going to grab L, type L for line, make sure I'm lining up on that axis, and then I'm going to hit escape. D for dimension, I'm going to dimension exactly as it's showing here. So from the center of the circle to the bottom of that line segment, drag my dimension over, and this will be 1/4 times hashtag D or 1/4 times D, hit enter. Since my diameter is set at 1, 1/4 of that of 1 is 1. So we're good there. Now we have another dimension that we need to add, which is the half D. So I'm going to go ahead and type D for dimension. Go out from the center to the end point. This time, this will be 1/2 times hashtag D, which comes down to the dimension that we need. So this gives me my axle hole and then the sharp edge to the snail cam. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, so we've done the center axle hole and we've done the straight line for the outer edge. Now let's go ahead and add in a semicircle. So we're going to grab and create a circle that is confined to the center point of the circle, and it's going to stretch all the way out to this top point. So that'll give us kind of this outside arc, but there's portions of it that I don't need. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use a construction line to create a dotted line that goes all the way through from that line segment through that part where we created our arc so we can trim the other part of the snail cam that I don't need. So I'm going to, over here, grab my line command, and then over here for construction, I'm going to grab that end point of the snail cam and I'm going to drag it all the way through. And I'm doing that because I want to make sure that I have a closure point here. That's kind of important. So what I'm going to do now is grab the trim tool and get rid of the half of the cam that I really don't need. And the next step will involve creating another arc that will connect from the end of my solid part of the snail down here. So if I grab my 3-point arc, I'm going to go endpoint to endpoint. And the thing that I want to make sure here is I want to get it looking pretty close. But you'll notice that it's blue, meaning it's not constrained fully. And the reason it's not constrained fully is we haven't defined that diameter or the radius of that arc. And really, there's no measurement that's provided for us for that arc. So what we need to be aware of is no matter how we try, there's going to be a rough little bump right here unless we create a tangent constraint. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab tangent and we're going to go from this arc to this arc and make them tangent to each other. And what that does is it just smooths out that profile completely so that we don't have any sort of bump or hiccup or anything like that. And you'll notice that caused everything to be fully constrained, and it did kind of create a little bit of this kind of effect here. It's not exactly the same as the picture, but it does give us a good snail shape that we could go ahead and use to create our cam. So now we have the overall profile of our cam. Oops, and I guess what happened was I snipped out the construction line. Now that I have the profile that I like, I'm going to go ahead and accept that green check mark, and we're going to Shift E for extrude or click the extrude button, choose my profile, and I'm going to set the depth equal to #T, which I've defined over here in my configurations or my parameters, to be 3/16 of an inch. Click that green check mark and you'll see that we have ourselves a snail cam. And again, because it's modeled parametrically, we can really quickly adjust some of those dimensions to impact the overall shape. So for example, if we make this a 2-inch snail cam, then that automatically changed the overall look of our snail cam. The hole is still located in the center, but maybe I want to make it a 1/4-inch hole to fit those 1/4-inch dowel rods. That's the wrong depth. That's the thickness. So maybe I have a 1/4-inch material, which is not a big deal. And maybe I have a 1/4-inch dowel rod too. So being able to do that really quickly allows us to change the design intent based on other features that we may have available to us, material that's accessible in the engineering lab, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to change these dimensions back to what we had, and there we go. We have our final snail cam.